seats
at the table. You dig? One more time.
A seat at the table.
You dig? And that's how we do it.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of A Seat at the Table, where we have adult discussions over the internet. Today, right? My name is Marcus Avery.
I'm Ashley Rowe.
I'm Kelsey Matthews.
I'm
right.
Travis Conor.
There we go. Our special guest, Travis Conor, all the way from China. All right. Everybody give him applause. We appreciate you coming out to the show, or I guess being on our show, as you can say. All right, doing us a huge favor. We know it's about noon over there, almost 11 something. All right, so first things first, man. Do you mind giving us a rundown on who you are and what you do in China and where exactly in China you are?
Yeah, so I've been here since 2016, and I'm from the same hometown as Quinton, so we grew up together. But I've been here. I was teaching in a school in Beijing for 3 years, but now I'm working at an international high school for all these Chinese students that are about to go to these really top-end Chinese schools. So I'm in Xi'an now. So it's about 4 hours south of Beijing. It's this 2,000-year-old city with all these ruins and capitals everywhere. But it's a small city in China, which means there's 14 million people. But yeah, I've been here I got here the day of the virus, so it's been an interesting start.
Whoa,
The day
okay.
of the virus.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
But,
So the virus,
yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was going to ask you, so the virus outbroke when you arrived? Like, it's just like, boom, the same time like got off the plane, it was boom? Or?
Yeah, so basically we've been like 2 months ahead of you. So everything I read in the American news is kind of funny because like it's the exact same thing. Like people's jokes and attitudes and like social media posts, it's just really eerie because we've been seeing the same thing. But I was traveling for my winter break, and then I came back, and like some things were like wrong, and like maybe like Wuhan, that city closed down, and everyone said, "Don't worry about it." And then it started to get a little bit bigger, and then I was traveling in like Southwest China. And like one by one, like a hotel would close. And then for 2 weeks I said like, it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal. And then finally the city I was in just closed. And like,
wow.
Not even like America's not even there yet. I mean, like a city like actually closes, like nothing's open. So I took the last train home to my apartment. And then, that was it. I mean, the quarantine was for real here. I mean, it was 6 weeks of nothing. And it wasn't, it wasn't really scary. It was just like boring. But yeah, so I was in this little apartment. I mean, I had Wi-Fi, I had internet, I had hot water, and you could order food. But that's it. Yeah, like the quarantine was there's no asterisk next to it. There's no like, there's no like special cases. So we're still kind of in it now. But things are opening up because we haven't had a new case in like 14 weeks.
Oh, that's
I'll show you something. Yeah, so let me show you this app here. So basically, China does a lot better job of just laying low, because I know like even the Americans here, like we want to get out. We're a little bit more like social. Right. But there's like this app here, and if you want to go anywhere, you got to sign in. So like the subway, a taxi, like the mall, like anything, you got to sign in, and they track you like wherever you've been.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What's the name of the app?
This is a Chinese app. I don't even know the name. My Chinese is really bad. It's just for the city, and you can see it's green. So green means you're good. But if it's yellow, that means maybe like someone in your apartment building has been around it. And if you're red, that means like you've been too close to it, and you can't go anywhere. You gotta like just stay inside. But I mean, the schools have been closed. Like my school, we've been teaching online this whole time. But it's getting better. It's getting better, but it took 2 months. So it was about 8 weeks.
So according to the New York Times, the top government officials, scientists battling the coronavirus estimated today that it could kill probably about 100,000 or 240,000 Americans, and it's now being called like a plague. And according to Donald Trump, he feels that the Chinese government could have done a better job of identifying, stopping it, and warning the American government about it. What do you have to say about that and the action that they've taken so far to get this under control?
That's a good question. So, I haven't been reading the news too often, but just like my friends here, like living here, China went through the same thing for like a month. So that's what I meant, where it was just eerie. The same things were happening. So for like 1 month, there was signs about it, but no one did it. But here's the big thing too. Like this happened during China's Christmas. So this was when, and mind you, I think like 50% of people moved from the countryside to the city within the last generation. So like no one lives in their hometown anymore. So when this virus happened, like you can't really separate it from the fact that it was, because every year it's the biggest migration in human history, because you just have like 600 million people going home. So like when the virus like started, like that was like a spark in the powder keg. And but two things about that. One, there was a month where they weren't doing enough. But the second part is that you're not allowed to complain about what the government does. So like Americans, like that's our thing. Americans, like that's our thing.
That's our thing. Off with his head.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Yeah, but in China, you don't do that. So, and not even you're not allowed to. People don't like to do it. I mean, even like in America, my Chinese friends are like, this is not something you talk about. So the big thing was there was a doctor who the government tried to hide because he died while he was working. And there was a few social media posts where people said like you can't, like that's over the line. Like even for us, that's over the line. Like you because they said they tried to hide that he died for a few days and then it got out. Because even though like you're not allowed to, we don't have Facebook and Instagram. I mean, everybody has a cell phone, everybody's connected. Like it's really easy to talk to everybody. So I think what happened was the Chinese were really like not ashamed, but they were kind of embarrassed about it. But now that America has it, now China's trying to blame America on it. So now China's trying to say it came from America, and America's trying to say it came from China.
China, yeah, we saw that with Donald Trump. Like
it's a room full of people like this.
Exactly.
Right.
But I think it did come in. Like the thing is, like it did come from China. But even like my high school students, all my students are really smart. Like they're all going to NYU or Brown or Stanford or not. I don't know. They work really hard. Let me say it that way. But when I asked them like a month ago, they were all like, yeah, like our people we need to evolve. We need to stop eating like weird animals because it's fun. And we need to like drop some of these old habits. But now it's totally changed. Now it's like, oh, thank God it's not us. It's everybody's fault. So I think.
So piggybacking off of that, what's the weirdest thing that you've eaten since you've lived there?
I don't eat weird stuff. I gotta.
Your Americanized.
Yeah.
But, like I stick to the basics.
Yeah, but the city I've lived in, because I'm always like an American. I've never tried to like really distance myself from that. But like Chinese is becoming like really international. Like everybody watches like the same news over here. I mean, this is technically blocked, like Zoom, but I'm able to get on it. Like everybody does. Like for example, like New York Times is blocked, but they have reporters in China. There's always like this give and take. But no, nothing's like it's not like this crazy different place. I mean, like every day I'll go like ride my bike around. I'll take the subway. I'll take an Uber, which is a different company, and that's about it. I mean, people are more similar than different. It's not too crazy.
So quick question. Being that you have to have the app to move around, right? Is there anything else you have to have? Like, do you have to wear like a mask? Is it mandatory over there? Is like a glove, something like that? Like,
yeah. So Yeah, so a mask is mandatory. So I'm trying to think of it. So the rules are, the rules are, and I don't speak too much Chinese. Like I learned a little bit for like a year, but I just kind of like follow what I see. So I haven't read all the rules, but like these are the things I know. You can't go outside without a mask on, and I think there's some type of program where you can like call or like rat on other people that aren't wearing a mask, and you get in trouble. So like that is mandatory. You have to wear a mask, and they definitely won't let you in anywhere without one. Like it's not. You are absolutely blocked from anywhere without a mask. The app.
Did they make these easily available to everyone?
Kind of, but they were hard to find for a while. So let me show you. I bought a box of 50 of these things, just like the little blue ones. And the box was like, I want to say the box was like $20, which in China is crazy expensive because
that's expensive here too. They're like 70 cents.
Yeah. But but I found the box. So the price went up like 5 times. But yeah. But I mean, again, it's only $20. So you have to wear a mask. You have to use the app. And then besides that, there aren't really too many rules because the government put control on everything. So for example, the bars are closed. Like there's no option. There is no bar to go to. Like there is no like mall. There is no concert. Like you have no options. So they really take away the choice before. Like I think that's America's making that problem is they're letting all these people make the choice whether they want to stay inside. And then people like my hometown, Columbus, or where I lived in Denver, and Denver people like they just need to go outside. They need to ski or hike, and they're just like, it's like no, like I can't help myself. Like I'm not going to quarantine myself, and I feel like in the back of their mind they're like, someone's going to have to quarantine me mandatory before I. Yeah, so I wish I think America needs to do that because I think Korea did it, and they're doing a lot better than America. And I heard they got the virus on the same day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I also read that the Wednesday night horse races, I think it's in Hong Kong. It's been a tradition since 1973. They continued those last week in order to like boost morale for everyone, and people were able to still place their bets. They only had a few $1 million less in revenue than they typically do. Has there been any other forms of entertainment that's continued that you know of?
Right. So this is the part where I feel bad for America because when it happened in China, especially North China, it was the winter, and so the quarantine was a lot easier. I mean, it's just like, hey, what else are you gonna do? Because like Chinese people we don't have like a lot of concerts outdoor. Like I know, like in Atlanta and Denver, like there's like every single night there's 50 concerts or there's like a street festival. Like China doesn't really do that, so the quarantine was way easier to put into place. But there wasn't like any really tradition. So I'm not, when I say America isn't doing as strong a quarantine, I guess I'm saying they just have such a tougher job because like we are just so, it's like Italy, like we don't stay inside. We have to like associate with other
we have
people.
To move around and go somewhere.
And Chinese people are just like, they when you tell them to sit inside for a month, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, okay, I'll do it. But
so how long have you been
down?
Wait, one time.
Go ahead, Ash.
I was gonna say we have a few cities shut down. Okay, I know I'm going back to like the whole finger pointing thing. America did blame it on China, and there was an article that came out maybe a couple days ago because from our perspective, the government is telling us that this started in China from someone eating an exotic animal. So the article that followed suit a few weeks later was an article saying that China is no longer they're making it illegal to eat these exotic animals or anything like that. Have you heard about that? Or
right. So from what I heard was it happened in the city called Wuhan, and so Wuhan. I mean, China's the size of Europe, right? But so if I'm talking like from Hong Kong to Beijing, that's like that's probably it's a 9-hour high-speed train where you're going like 200 miles an hour. And then in between that, like right in between Hong Kong and Beijing, is this city called Wuhan. And it's like any other city. Like 40 years ago, it was nothing, and now Wuhan hosts the world's internet conference every year, and it's like every big tech company goes. Like they host the like an international tennis tournament with like Serena and Roger Federer. I mean, it's like a legitimate city. But apparently it came from this fish market, and like the deal with fish markets, from what I heard, is like they just serve whatever they catch. They don't have time for like biologists to like look at anything. And like the thing is, like China is so strict. Like for example, if I post something bad against the government on the internet, like they might find me like immediately. But there's also like 1.6 billion people. Like you can't check everything. So when I heard that there was a fish market, like if some guy catches something, he's just gonna serve it, and that was the epicenter. So I guess they didn't know if it was a bat per se, but like they knew that something needed to happen. So even Chinese people were like, all right, we can't do this shit anymore. Like we gotta clean this stuff up. But no one really knew. And then I read this like tweet last night from this Chinese reporter that lives in America. Or sorry, backwards. He's an American that lives in China, and he's a reporter. And he said, he's seeing everything turntable. So it was that China was trying to defend itself, but didn't have a lot of evidence. And now that Americans are handling it worse, some people are saying that China's trying to ride that, and they're trying to say, see, it wasn't us. And not only was it not us, that we handled it. So but it's like this propaganda machine.
Interesting. So could you describe the streets for us of China versus like when you first got there? Well, I guess you got there during quarantine. We've been there 4 years, but I guess in your previous 4 years, and then how it is now, what's the difference? Like more like a martial law type thing, or how is it outside?
Yeah, so people, so China's incredibly safe. I mean, like I've never seen. Well, first of all, there's no guns at all. There's no everything. There's like cameras everywhere. There's no like graffiti on any walls anywhere in the country. I mean, it's totally different. So like even like all the time I spent in Europe, or like even like a safe city like Berlin, but there's still like homeless people on the trains. I've never seen a homeless person in China. Maybe like 2 or 3 times. They just kind of go away, which is a very scary thing with like human rights issues. But like you're not allowed to be homeless on the street. That's just not like acceptable. Like everyone's kind of, it's really safe. But if you really look into it, there's probably some scary like organizational stuff. So China was never really scary anyway. But during like when everything was open, there's like a million little shops. And now during the quarantine, maybe like 1 out of every 20 shops would be open. But there was never any stockpiling because like China doesn't allow that. Like, for example, if there was this stockpile crisis at Walmart in America, if that happened in China, they would stop it the next day. But say, no, you're not allowed to do that. Like some government person will come in and say, you're not allowed to buy this many things. We would never let that go on for two weeks like America did. But again, that's just like the freedom of business, because there's no private business. Like even in China, when they say I'm a private business, you're really not. Like I don't want to say like if you have a company of more than 100 people, you have to have like a government official like inside the business. Like I remember this one girl I was dating a few years ago. Like she was working at a bank in Beijing. And I was like, so what's the next step? Like, how do you get a promotion? And she said, well, I have to join the government. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, no, I have to become like an official member of the Communist Party for me to reach manager. And it's like, so like there isn't this separation of like, I own Walmart, Walmart's private, I can sell whatever I want, I can stockpile whatever I want. That's not like a thing. So, so everything's been really calm. And I was trying to tell my friends that, it's so much more boring than scary. And I think in America, when I read the news, I see all these people like they don't know how to, because they're just so much more busy. Like in America, all my friends, they have like a side hustle or a gym, or like they're stretched thin. Like, I mean, they make a lot of money, but they're like investing in stuff, and they have all these like side stuff. But like Chinese people are really more like centralized. So when the shutdown happened here, people just like embraced it. But in America, like all these people are losing their small businesses, and like people like have all these, especially in the spring, like all these weddings to go to, and like, launch parties,
gone.
Yeah.
Did you all have time to prepare before the quarantine?
No, I mean, it started slow. It wasn't like one day, because because I was traveling, and the city I was in was like, because the city I was in, they said like one business would close, one bar would close, and the next day would be more, and the next day would be more. And then I finally came to Xi'an, and then everything started to close. But I will say, no one in China really got too like racist about it, because like Chinese people are, I don't want to say racist, but there's a very long history of their like we are one type of people and you're not one of us.
Right.
And but nothing, the racism hasn't really gotten too bad. But like last night, this guy went viral in my town because he tried to go into the mall without a mask, and they wouldn't let him in, and he just like went nuts, like he was like screaming and cussing.
Yeah.
And but he got deported, so he got sent away. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but nothing's crazy. Like there hasn't been any like any riots or any looting, or there hasn't been like a rise of crime. Nothing.
So did you order most of the items that you needed for the quarantine, or were you allowed to go out, or was there any specific time where no one could just go anywhere at all?
So my apartment was safe, and I live right next to like the biggest university in the city, because there's like a little international school district. But so I could go to 7-Eleven and like this one little supermarket, and actually the Walmart was open. So when the quarantine was worse, and the thing is, like, for foreigners, they usually just kind of let you do your thing. But with Chinese people, they're more strict. So they would, during the hardest part of the quarantine, they would say you can only leave your community. So it's kind of like, for example, like our community has 5 blocks, and everything has a gate. So you could only leave the community every 2 days. But at the gate, you could order stuff from our Amazon. But I would kind of leave anyway. I would just go ride my bikes. But there was a 7-Eleven. There was fresh fruits and vegetables, and yeah, like you always could get what you want. But like in this app, so let's say someone in my building had the virus, so obviously that person would be removed. And but the thing is, everyone in that building, you cannot leave your building until they let you. So you couldn't even walk your dog. They'd be like, no, you're not, like, you're not even allowed outside, but you can order whatever you want. So you would order food, they would leave it outside your door, they would leave, and then someone would come get your things, or like you would come pick up your stuff. So yeah, you could always get anything you want. There was never like a panic or like a freak out of like, we don't have enough.
Well, let's to the point of, go ahead, Marcus.
Right. Quick question. There was a bombing of a hospital there. Is there any news any other news that came out about that bombing? Have they found out who did it, or what's up with that?
I honestly, the thing is, so the social media, we have 2 or 3 things, but people never talk about politics, like, and I mean like even friends of mine. So when I heard about that, Actually, I didn't even like hear about that except in passing, because like the only news I get about China is from like the outside. I mean, it's like it's just a totally different idea. Like we don't like it's not that that people don't pay attention, people don't care. It's that they just have this trust that like, hey, you handle this for me. Like if there is a bombing or a stabbing, like there's never any shootings, but like I remember in Beijing, every once in a while there's like a stabbing or something, but you just never hear about it and you never really talk about it. Like even last night there's a forest fire close to here, and like 30 firefighters died, but no one, just people don't talk about it. So I don't know what happened, but a lot of me, now that I think about it, we do kind of like live in the dark. I mean, like we don't. There's no presidential elections we talk about. No one's ever like arguing about who is the leader or who's not, or people don't argue about corruption. I mean, people know that it goes on, but it's just like it's a totally different realm of thinking.
Do you think that
a little bit more peaceful?
Yeah, I mean, I can say it's peaceful, but at the same time, like, do you really trust the Chinese?
Yeah, it's kind of like ignorance is bliss.
Exactly.
Right. So well, the other thing that happened, let me put it this way. So you guys remember the whole NBA thing with Hong Kong?
Yes, with LeBron James.
Yeah, so I had I'm trying to get them ready for like America. And I told them that like people are very opinionated. And so they were all writing a persuasive essay, and this one kid wrote an article saying celebrities shouldn't speak out. And I said, like, hey, that's great. Like, keep your opinion, but you have to, we're going to debate this. So you have to find out every argument against yourself. And he couldn't really like understand like why people were mad at LeBron for not sticking up for Hong Kong, or he couldn't understand why, like everybody hated the NBA for not like speaking out more. And he wrote this beautiful paper about why it's, like celebrities just interfere with the government's agenda, and if the government didn't have to worry about what famous people said, they could work more efficiently. And I was trying to tell him, I was like you need to prove to me that you understand that that's not how the rest of the world thinks. I mean, or sorry, like the Western world. And so that whole Hong Kong thing was funny because there was never any like, okay, I know this is your position, but this is ours. They never said that. They were just like, no, Hong Kong is China. I'm like, and then you would try to argue it, and they would just get really upset. They were like, no, it's not. So they don't. It's just like the way they're brought up. Like there's no like social studies class. They just like they're all learning math and science. Like when they learn English, they memorize English. They don't learn how to speak. So that's why like so many Chinese people want to study abroad in America, because they know that they're missing that. But it's really difficult. They don't know how to like. This hospital bombing was in Hong Kong, so in China, not only would we not talk about it, but we're especially not going to talk about it if it was in Hong Kong, because that's like Israel Palestine. I mean, people like that's unmentionable.
Wow.
So have you seen any like disciplines from anyone who's spoken out, or like have they been like ousted from the country or jailed for saying the wrong things about the government or whatever?
Yeah, you just disappear. I mean, and it's not like, I don't want to say like, actually, for example, this one movie star, she wasn't paying her taxes. And like in America, that's like, yeah, people do that all the time. Like you just you hire a lawyer, you get out of it. And Americans are kind of like, yeah, that's the game. But no, she wasn't paying her taxes. And she just like disappeared for like 4 months, and no newspaper is allowed to go find her. So she just disappeared for like 5 months, like no media exposure, no public outings, like nothing. And then finally she just like came back, and no one was allowed to interview like what happened or why it happened. But everybody knew. It's like, hey man, you can't publicly evade taxes. Like, because it's not like in America, we love like a little guy taking on the government. We love that stuff.
Right.
Or like, yeah, like someone suing like a billionaire and winning, but that doesn't really happen. But I think was it like Ashley or Kelsey? I think you said it's kind of more peaceful. I mean, it really is, but like, like at what cost?
Right.
Like, it really is more peaceful here. Like, I mean, it's like everything's safe. Like girls can walk around at 2 a.m. anywhere they want and not worry about it. Like I don't have to worry about going in. There's no wrong part of town. Like there is like I've never been to a city like a part of town you can't go to. I mean, it's like everything is lit up, everything is organized, but it's not like there's less like soul.
There's a strict structure.
Right. But there's not like
it's
you can't
completely different from.
Yeah, you can't. But like you don't have like that like street art. Like I've never seen a street musician in China. Maybe, like, almost never. Maybe like some singers, but yeah, like I've never seen like a full blown music festival. Yeah, you don't really see that stuff.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Very interesting. So
I think I will say though, like I think like it'll get better because like China dealt with the virus and it's not cured yet, but like they figured out a way to do it. And I think once like America like finally just like bunkers down and says,
yeah,
all right, like no, like you can't. We're not going to let you go to the beach.
Right.
There's people probably at the beach right now.
Yep. I saw so many people gassing up their car with their boat on the back, going up to the lake to hang out for the weekend.
People don't care if it's not down.
Everyone has to have an alternative. If I'm going to be told something as an American, you better sandwich that with something that I like and me being able to do some other alternative and then pretty packaging all in one.
Yeah.
So speaking of pretty packaging, do you guys have like an end date to the quarantine in China?
Say again?
Do you guys have like an end date? Because they just gave us 30 more days to be in quarantine for the most part for the nation.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was going to ask you because everybody in America like wants a date. So everybody's messaging me like, how long is it going to last? And I'm telling people, I'm like, it's just funny because we've never asked that in China. I mean, like at work, for sure, we're like, when do the students show up? When do I have to be back? But like we all kind of are like, but it's really hard, especially if you have, because a lot of businesses are going to go under. Like for example, every bar is like month to month. No bar has like 4 or 5 months of savings. Like that just doesn't exist. So because Chinese people drink a lot too. So like every bar it's going to be like a forest fire. Every bar is going to be wiped out, and then after this whole thing's over, there's going to be like a whole new like 1,000 new bars are going to pop up. But I don't know how they're doing it because like the Chinese is gonna like allow like rent forgiveness and things like that. But
have they given you all any stimulus money?
No, definitely not me. But I haven't even checked. But I got really lucky. So I live in I have like a apartment that the school gives me. So I didn't have to worry about it. And I've been able to work online because everyone just teaches online. So like to me, like besides staying inside, I was unaffected. But we didn't do any stimulus money yet. But every bank is government owned. So like in America, the bank gets to fight the government if the government says, "Hey, don't like forego any loans. Don't punish people that can't pay their rent. Like don't like, hey, please don't repossess anyone's car." Like the government in China can just say that, but in America, the banks can be like, "Don't tell us what to do. Like, we'll take anyone's car if we want to." So I don't know how that's gonna happen, but I don't think like I know in my city the divorce rates doubled.
I believe it, man.
Wow, that is not funny.
That's not. No, it was more like a
time away. Right. You know, it's a time away from your wife. You didn't realize who she was, you know, I guess, or your husband, or whatever the case may be, you know.
So divorce rates doubled during the quarantine.
Yeah, I remember the day that office opened up, the day like that Civil Bureau office opened up, double. Like The rate just
Good, nice.
like statistically doubled.
Some
But
people don't like staying with their spouses during a long period of time.
So a few of my people like, and I wonder what you guys will do because like to me, like I mean I'm kind of an inside guy too, so it was okay. Like I mean because I don't play video games or watch movies, but like I had my camera gear, I had like some music. Like to me, I was like bring it on. It was boring, but I never went crazy. But like my brother lives in New Orleans, and he needs to meet people. Like he's a nurse there, and like he needs that interaction. And he lives in the French Quarter, and like so I think that's tougher. But I think it really is kind of like depend on your personality, and that's why I feel bad for like New York, and LA, and San Francisco, where it's like like you moved here because of the perfect weather and the beautiful people and like the
constant interaction.
Yeah. So I think China was ready for it, but America's biggest thing, I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out is like the human peace stories where it's like, how, like, it's not just the virus. It's like, how do you change your life that fast?
Yeah. Right. Well, then another thing that, no, go ahead.
Do you all live in Atlanta?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the area. Yeah, I live like countryside, like exterior.
Right.
It's like, I don't understand America because we have the essential business closed down and the non-essential business is open. Like, why are we closing dentist offices and like, I guess small business, like practices and stuff like that, and then we're keeping open beauty supply stores and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, America's so backwards.
Right. I was considering that earlier in the fact that we have restaurant workers, we have all grocery store chains that are open. They have specific hours in the morning, I think from about 6 to 7 a.m. where with Publix and I think Kroger, elderly individuals are allowed to go and because they're more high risk and just be amongst themselves and shop. And then people who, are younger, they come the rest of the day. So that's something I'm thinking about. Like, there are some people who can't afford to just completely stop working. And I think that's what's driving the fact that everyone wants to still go out and do things. And then you have the other half of people who just want to be sociable. The people who have to work, they have to Uber, they have to go and work at their job at the grocery store or wherever they're working, the restaurant job, in order to pay those bills. Because I know for myself, like I've called my car financing company and Progressive Insurance mid-month last month. And at that point, they said that they would defer payments to a certain extent. But then in April, you're responsible for March and April payments.
Right.
So when you're not going to have March and April money. So there's a lot of people who are dealing with that stuff as well. And I think what you're experiencing in China is everyone just being able, like what you said with the government, to put things out of sight, out of mind. I think they did the exact same thing. They were told to do something, and so they did it. They were able to put it out of sight, out of mind. And we're just not coming to that point.
Yeah. Right, I want to know what you guys, because when I lived in America, I mean, if you make like $65,000-$70,000, I mean, like, you're not like living large. Like,
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if you buy a house, like you said, like I remember, because Progress, like a car insurance is like $150, $200, and like for example, a cell phone here, like my iPhone cell phone is $20 a month here for like 4G everything, and then what in Atlanta is probably like $100.
Yeah.
What?
Right. And it's just yeah.
You gonna put me on your plan?
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, China's cheaper. Like for example, like we have high speed trains, right? So like I can take a train from the equivalent of New York to LA in like 8 hours, and and it's like $200, and the price never changes. Like if I go today or tomorrow or on 3 years, the price is $200. There's no baggage check. There's no there's Wi-Fi on the train. Like it's safe. Like so a lot of things are backwards, but like I don't think people need bailed out as much in China because we don't. I mean, like 40 years ago was like North Korea here. Like if like our parents were like you weren't allowed to like make art. You weren't allowed to it was North Korea, literally that bad. So I think like people are still more humble, but like in America, I mean, depending on who you are, like you kind of were born into like you have all this opportunity, you need to make the most of it. So you better have a car and like stuff going for you. So I don't think people here needed bailed out as much. But like in America, like my last job, I had to work at a restaurant after my business job. Like you volunteering here or there. You need a car, which in China you don't need. So like America is just, they need bailed out.
A
Like,
capitalist country.
But it's not like, hey, go sit inside. It's like, no, I have all these loans. Like if I don't pay these loans, or sorry, if 10 million people don't pay their loans, like
right,
who knows what
collapses, and we may be on the brink of that, but that's a whole other issue, man. That's a whole.
So how's that happening?
Don't even want to get into it.
Are they giving out that money, or not yet?
They are. Allegedly, it's supposed to be coming in within the next 3 weeks. It's like a $2.5 trillion stimulus check or whatever, a budget I should say, that they're cutting out. $1,200 per person, $2,400 per couple, so it's still $1,200. I think like $500 per child or something like that too. So, and it's all depending on if you make less than $99,000 a year. So that should really hit everyone, and it's based off of your 2018 tax returns, unless you've already filed your 2019 tax returns. But if you haven't filed them already because of this and stuff that's going on, then it's based on 2018, and then you should be able to get your $1,200. And however you got paid within the last time you filed taxes. So if it was a direct deposit, then it'll be that way as well, man. But if not, you have to wait an extra 3 weeks after they've approved you for your $1,200 to get a check in the mail. So that's how that's working out.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It is Trump.
I can't get excited about nothing that's not here yet.
What about rent? Because rent is probably like $1,000 in Atlanta, I'm guessing.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, some landlords have stopped rent for the next couple of months, and then some are like, you got to figure out how to get this money.
Right.
And that's not fair, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's the difference between that's the difference between a communist place and a capitalistic place, right? So I mean, communist, like you said, the government can kind of just like, hey, this is what you're gonna do, and then here is like, well, if they do, we applaud you, but if you don't, then I mean, we're not gonna do anything to them.
Right. So I mean, I got a lot out of this because because people don't really talk about the virus. People just we talk about like anything else, but because whenever I turn on American news, people like they're involved and they want to know what's going on. But like whenever I read the news in China, it's like, oh, it's like it's fake. I mean, it's like reading like a university webpage. It's like it's not really journalism. It's just like doing today.
Right, like an essay someone published or something.
Right. Yeah, but you don't really learn anything. It's not. It's like not like investigative journalism, but I mean, I think, like, I will say, like, on a positive note, that the city I was in, so from basically, like, January 31st was when I accepted the quarantine. And 3 weeks ago, they opened up, 2 weeks ago, they opened up the malls, they opened up the parks. People can get together again. People are playing basketball in the park. Some of the bars just opened last week. And it was all because there was 14 days of nobody getting a new contamination. And even like last week, there was 3 people that got it, but the system is so locked down that, like, because remember you can't go anywhere without the scan. I mean, you can't go, because every single street in the entire country has like these voluntary, where they just they like, hey, they have a phone and they have a master app where you put in the thing. So you can't go anywhere if you have the virus or been around somebody. But like, we accepted that, and I think it's better now. Like, so Xi'an is open.
What I wonder is if that is a technology that has already been put in place. Why is this the first time I'm hearing about it? I know I've been watching the news every day. I don't know about you, Ashley or Marcus. Have you heard about it?
No, not at all.
So instead of blaming China for, the virus and just letting it become this political, race of blame, why not use the things that have already been implemented and put in place?
Well, I think, I want to know that too, but I'm trying to think of like, let's say everybody did accept it. Let's say all of us were like, cool, we're going to do it. Like, I don't even know how you would do it, because like, I remember like the Affordable Care Act app when like Obama a few years ago, and it just failed and it was like a nightmare. I mean, the thing is, like, China was like custom built for this to happen. Like this quarantine, like I bet you there's a bunch of government people like, we are ready. Like we have been planning this for years. But because the app that does it, everybody has to have. Like, I can't overestimate at all how important this one app is in China. It's called WeChat. That's like the English name. And but so we use it for everything. So it's called WeChat. So we use it for all of our messaging, so all of it. But it also has all of our money. So when we pay for it, no one uses cash in China. No one. Like, I haven't seen cash in 2 years. So we all like, even street musicians, they put a little QR code and then you just scan and you do whatever you want. So like street food, like musicians, concert tickets, that's what everybody uses. So that's our cash. That's our data sharing. If I want to share a PPT, like a PowerPoint with my other teacher, I just send it through WeChat. That's, you can do phone calls. That's our Zoom. That's how we do like online chat. It's the news. It's our Facebook. That's how people post it's everything. And there are other apps, but obviously this is like it's not technically, it's a private company, but obviously it's not. So when they needed to make this app, it's like boom, and they just like they just put a function in the app. So like if America wanted to do that, like who's gonna do it? Like, is Google gonna do it?
Well, Trump did say something. Yeah, he said something a while back that he was partnering with Google on some sort of technology in order to do this. And I know recently I heard about something that you can scan and test or something like that. I haven't seen of anyone who said that they've used it or anything like that, but a while ago, and it had to have been 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago, something was said about a partnership with Google on something.
Right. I don't know. This is like, I feel like this is like the realm of like math and statistics. Cause how do you like test enough people? It's like kind of like that outbreak point. Like you get to the point where like so many people are contaminated that on a graph, it just exponentially goes up. Like, I think China's really good with that math about that. But because even though we have so many people, like everything is so controlled. Like you have, like everyone has to have papers and documents and things like that. But like in America, people are just, they roam more. Like they're more. More
and just down. And we definitely want to thank you for your time today. But to close out, if you could give any advice to the American people during this time, since you've already been through this and you guys seem to be coming out on the other side of it, what would that advice be?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of questions I have, but my thing would just, and I'm thinking about my friends too, because like my friends, for example, in Denver, where everybody goes to like have the time of their life and like go watch movies, and they're very much of this like you fear of missing out on like YOLO type of lifestyle. Like I'm trying to tell my friends just embrace the boredom. Because like just prepare for like the next 5 weeks of like you know that feeling when you're sick in high school and you stay at home and you just don't leave the couch. I mean, like that's just what like China basically did. And when I was my first week, I had all these like energy drinks and coffee, and I had like these big stack of novels I was always going to read, and I was going to practice. But like you really just, it's hard to stay motivated when you're really like locked in. I mean, I don't want to say it's not jail at all, because you still have your freedom, but like I just tell people like, hey, for 5 weeks, just lay low. Like don't try to fight against
down, relax.
Like don't try to, I mean, more power to you. If I mean, like for example, one of my best friends, he's like trying to be a musician, so he's like learning new like Ableton software and learning, but like that's great, but to me, I'm like, don't try to like fight the quarantine. I mean, like just like accept it. And it's not like an America China thing. It's just like a biological thing. So just like for 5 weeks, just like lay low. Yeah. But I think like it's good. Like if, like in this city of mine, and maybe I can like follow you guys on some social media, and I'll send you pictures of my town. But like the town's alive again. Yeah, because the town's alive again. There was like 6 weeks of like just eerie ghost town, but like now, like people are eating on the street again. The bars are open. Like I said, the city I lived in was the capital of China for 2,000 years. Like if you know those in China, they dug up the whole army of model soldiers, the terracotta warriors. Yeah. That's the town I live in. So like the museums are opening. So like it's alive again, and like it's spring now. Like people are walking their dogs. I mean, it gets better. It gets better. Like we got over it. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice talking to you. But if you can send me, I mean, I want to stay connected with you guys anyway. But I'll show you pictures of like what it was like and how we got over it. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good story. It's a good story overall. Like it will get better.
Yeah, and we'd love to follow up with you and get more information so that we can give it to our viewers. Maybe schedule another chat once this is all over and just kind of do a recap with you. But for now, Marcus,
I want to
close it out.
Yeah, because I was talking to Quinton. You guys kind of like inspire me, but like because the people I'm connected with, my school, there's going to be we send like 80 Chinese kids to like the top 20 universities in America every year, and it's like just like the more people are connected, there's just like an ocean of cool content and personalities and points.
Right.
There. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I tell people that like China's not everybody's cup of tea, but I mean, for better or worse, like China is the future. I mean, China will have 10 times more money, 10 times more like everything. Like people work 10 times harder here. They have more internet. They have more high-speed trains. So I'm not saying like it's not a scary thing. It's just I just living here in China. It's kind of like it's just inevitable that. Like, kind of like
everything will follow suit.
Yeah, the China will be like half the world like real soon. So, but I mean that in a good way. Like Chinese people are nice. Like it's not like this big scary overlord. I mean, people they just want to have fun and they want to like explore and travel. They're good people.
All right. Well, I guess we got to wrap this thing on up, man. Thanks, Travis, for just informative, man. And I'll definitely add you on Facebook for sure. And then I'll get your IG from Quinton and stuff like that, man. Man, I appreciate you just giving us all this information, man. We really do appreciate everything.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Peace. Be a good person.